Yeah, so we got some rats. Here, yeah, just work me, y'all. Work with it, guys. 2 books and maybe 1 beat. Respect, honor, and gratitude from the other side of the shadow work and the lack of shadow work, right? So there's an emphasis on the lack of collective shadow work, which I will not go into. So there's an emphasis on a lack of it. There's a particular lack of an understanding of your path. You're in your own individual subjective path. I'm just going to read from 2 books and maybe do a freestyle lyrical song, you know, like kind of like that linguistical gish gallop. So within the linguistical gish galloping, let me try to put on a beat. Let me touch up on the Tao really swiftly. So the Tao, I don't know, 2-3 chapters, and the main topic of this book, and like there is a mutual similar understanding of things, you know, like if within the 3D physical earth, there is a cheating dynamic. So if we just come to the sober intelligence that there is a cheating dynamic within the 3D earth, and the quote unquote nature or gods allow that, then that's the bitter pill itself. You know, that bitterness that we feel, the bitterness itself is somehow within nature and the mechanism within the 5D to 3D physical aspect of the earth, the decaying aspect, somehow the spiritual archons, they have different physical incarnations. They're saying, quote unquote, you know, Hermes is an old man in one mini context, right? So Hermes is an old man now. So old man like Hermes has his own go-arounds. He has a whole different relationship with the incarnation cycle, right? Because these spirits, these quote-unquote gods, whatever the fuck you want to call them, the archons, planets, end quote, whatever, and how they have various shifts, they're exclusive and not indicative based on just the physical reality. There's a thing within the physical body that is interplay within the physical body that goes beyond the physical body, the soul and the spirit, yada, 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 respectively and whatnot. So yada, 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 respectively and whatnot. We're just kind of like, we're not good, not bad. We're putting that last, you know, and it's not good, it's not bad, and just the esoteric science of it. And I'm saying the esoteric science of it because I'm just saying, like, there's a different way to look at it. There's a whole new fresh perspective, respectively, right? In the future or the present or the past, right? Because the past could be new to someone else and the future could be old to someone else based on your relationship with time and the real original gods, you know, the original gods, meaning they are the element, right? They are the thing. It's it's that themselves, you know? So obviously I respect like 1980s and early 1990s Gundam Wing and shit, and like obviously like they like aside we have to put the competition on the side. We have to put all the competition mindsets on a pause real quick, and we have to realize that nature is doing its course, but still the competition could get the best of the psyche, right? The ego mind. So simultaneously I'm keen and weary enough to say we could put the competition on pause psychologically, mentally, and then we could just see like how the competition is, one side of the competition is actually really artificial, just artificial, you know, just too much like, you know, detrimental replication for the esoteric science of it. So I'm careful with the words, and then I'm careful with rephrasing the subject. So I'm careful with the words, careful with rephrasing the subject, and then careful in what it's doing, right? So I'm gonna try to put on a beat real quick. Maybe I'll just put on this beat. I don't know. It's right there. It's kind of like a when I pick beats and when I like do challenges, it's kind of like a mystery random process. Like whatever's there, it's there. We don't really pick our like the challenge in the future, right? We don't necessarily know the future or predict the future. But if we do know the future and we do predict the future, you're doing that uniquely and subjectively, you know. Like if you predict the future and whatever reason you predict the future, there's a common reason to do that. You want to see just kind of, and then there's a raw animalistic way to do it, like a different within the 3D life. The humans don't understand there's a savage competition going on. What do I mean by that? Pause. Not good, not bad. Within the vicinity of the quote unquote universe, end quote, there's a pocket of a physical solar system where animalistic experiments are allowed. Pause. What does that mean? It's saying I'm explaining things as they are beyond the human psyche competition game, right? There's a human psyche competition game like, oh, I know more than you. I've experienced more than you. I've done this more than you. I'm ahead of you. I'm better than you. I'm like all of this psyche mental stuff like, oh, I'm going to be the best or something like that. You know, that mental state, it has to be balanced on a whole different level because there are things in the spiritual sector that go beyond the mind, respectively, in every perspective, right? So since there are things that go beyond the mind, that's that real spiritual evolution, a certain context of evolution where the spirit itself is having its own exclusive indicative lane of evolution aside from respective surface level physical human evolutions. So we're getting particular with the context of the evolution, right? So since we're finally some fucking how getting very clear with the context of evolution, we're totally quote unquote oblivious to the spiritual evolution, respectively. And what is the spiritual evolution? That which molds the physical fucking solar system and and all your fucking little mini baby AIs in respects and contrast to a real fucking God universe, right? So there's a spirit that's evolving, that's already transcending all of that shit, and you're respecting that hype and whatever it has advancedly made, and obviously respect, honor, and gratitude to like where the innovation has come, right? Obviously, like it's like they've already hinted it, right? Like if China is gonna fucking come out with a big ass dragon, is that really a fucking surprise? Not really at this stage of the game of life, not respectively. And I'm not trying to blow anybody's cover. I'm just flowing and saying nature's truth, right? So let me pick a beat real quick. And yeah, there's a lack of collective shadow work, and it shows respectively. And it's not necessarily anybody's, you know, the bigger paradox is, it's not necessarily anybody's fault, and that's something the human can't really comprehend. You know, it's not anybody's really fault because by nature's definition, we are innocent. We're just coming into nature trying to survive, right? We're trying to survive from nature, and now we find ourselves in this crazy chaotic arena of life / quote unquote universe, end quote, perhaps, and maybe people are in a fucking artificial universe without them even knowing it or like affiliating with that. So that's why I'm the real original intellectual logical savior, because I'm bringing a particular type of pure esoteric light that's shining upon ignorance and confusion within the fields of fields itself, beyond the rhetoric of the fields, and seeing like God's field, right? So let me pick a beat. Yo, fuck what you think. Fuck what this is. What the fuck is this? Run through the shit. Fuck this is. Fuck that you thought. Fuck that you saw. Yo, fuck is all everything that's on her mind. Fuck. All she wanna do is fuck. Fuck. Fuck what this is. Fuck what you think. Fuck what you knew. Everything you knew. All ablaze. Abstractly, elusively. Yo, profusely. Never gonna stop. I'm determined to be. Yo, going deep sea diving like sea urchins. Be urgently, mercantly. Yo, fuck this is. Running this, spelunking it. Yo. I gotta do the enlightened work, so I put my battle axe on a tree stump, splice the wood, chop the wood, wood, chop, choppy now, getting floppy now, never can stop me now. Oh, yo, can't drop me out, can't cop me now. Let's fight on some real fast shit, but you little fucking bitch. Anybody who wanna fucking fight in the shadow on some other shit, cause I transcend all this other motherfucking shit. Yo, fuck that this is, fuck what you thought, fuck what you saw, fuck all I see is red. All I see is red. L, do it till I'm dead. Do it till I come in left for dead like a jockey. Run through the shit, yo, run through the shit like a bunny rabbit hair. I'ma hunt through the shit, I'ma gun through the shit, I'ma do. I'ma spur lung through the shit, I'ma have fun with everything I do when I go to the candy bazaar. Star strike, star light, star shine, star fight, star grind, star drime, star drape, star cape, star face, star laced up with my new cannabinoids and my terpenes, yo. Cannabinoid, yo, mechanicaloid, technicaloid, yo, android, astroloid, colloidoroid, polaroid, yo, floaty coco, yo, that's how I dance in every style, switch it up, gas it up, then I shift it up, then I, yo, come in with the hyperdrive, with the snap of eye, cause I see you from far away, fight or flight, fireflies, yo, fight it up, yo, fireworks coming in my inner eye, in a tempo, in my, they said stop it. Never gonna really have any other option. Yo, life got me paralysis, life got me catatonic, life, yo, going back to the center point, going back to the left, Nephilim, yo, incredulous shit, stupendous shit, yo, coming in like Kremlin do, yo, every nation, respect to you until you step on other people's bounds, spacebound, yo. My style is, I just gotta do it all out. My style is, I don't really give a fuck about shit. My style is, I just gotta show up and do it. My style is, I just gotta, yo, unleash myself from the dormant attic. Yo, flowers in the attic, light has been suppressed. You haven't seen the light of day for a while. And for a second, yo, from ancient times to now, its name is the underparting, thereby are seeing all beauties. I see your beauty, baby girl. One look at you, now I see you rock my world. You rock my world, you turn my world inside out. Feelings, yo. Why does life have to have so much feelings? Feelings on feelings on feelings, dealings on dealings on dealings, yo, spillings on meetings, yo, secretly meeting, secretly secreting, yo, different ethereal juices, ethereal mooses, yo, take it off a moose. Too many feelings, reconcile with fallen parts of myself. I don't know if the audio's on cue, but the onion of life is what I gotta be peeling. It's what I gotta be peeling. Yo, still in the moment, still in time on a different front. Yo, reel in a different new opportunity. OPPURGUNITY. And I know you have that scrutinize me, yo, to the SCRUTINIZE, yo, in the new zine, in the new magazine, in the new machine gun clip now. This is shit that you can't skip now. I got a straight rip now, I gotta go in, yo, hit it from the top though, hit it from the... Going lokes to the dome ho, going lokes to the dome ho, going lokes to the dome, colder than an iglo, colder than an iglo, colder than a polar bear, colder than NASA, going to Alaska, yo. Impasse, impromptu, I taught you, yo. I taught you, I want you, I got you, I blot you, I flop you, I stop you, I cop you, I crop you, I doppelganger you, Loki, yo, artificial reality perspective of life, yo. Realitronics, yo, Matrix, 1985. Mine is indeed the mind of an ignoramus, Remus and Romulus. Gotta, yo, make that new shit, gotta come prominent, gotta come propagate it. Prominent, probulous, yo, probable that I gotta be, yo, surrendering to God. How do I be unstoppable, yo? She dripping so sweet, something like a popsicle on the summer sea, summer flea. What is me? What is you? What is the? What is what? What is us? What is you? What is the new futuristic universal space does to make your fucking seeds? Hey, put this in your ear. So how many chapters of the Tao should I read? Yeah, so like we're in the moment, respectively, quote unquote, neutral, end quote. And your AI has a fabricated perspective, more or less, respectively, of what neutral is. So this fucking, like, when I see new articles pop up on my phone and it's just like some type of insight that's kind of dismissing different general principles of new spiritual Zen information, meaning be in the moment, then when things appear in my feed, that's some type of artificial algorithm talking to me on how I'm supposed to be in the moment. Like, what is the algorithms telling you, and why are they telling you what they're telling you? So it's like, oh, he's had too much Kool-Aid. He's had too much Nesquik. He's had too much chocolate milk. He's had too much horchata. He's had too much vanilla milk. He's had too much fresa milk. He's had too much strawberry milk. He's had too much mango milk. He's had too much, agua frescas. Don't try too hard. I made a song on that. Chapter 16, maybe six. Wait, did I do 16 yet? Yo. This is an abstract one. Chapter 16, attain the climax of emptiness. So that paradox, the ego doesn't like that shit per se, right? Directly, right? The emptiness. They need the ego, and then the narc being a shadow of the ego, respectively, and them being two different psychological characters, the ego and narc. They kind of like, they don't like the emptiness, right? The ego doesn't like the emptiness, and then the narc especially doesn't like the emptiness, right? The ego needs something. It needs some type of reminder, not good, not bad, right? It needs some type of assurance, not good, not bad. That's just the ego. The ego is like kind of like already the compass. Like the ego is like the mental compass, right? Of just like, okay, this is what I need to do. Will the ego slide into the shadow of the narc psychologically, or will the ego slide above the narc and recognize, I guess, a God within whatever the fuck the spiritual shit is saying, right? So, because like, what the fuck is the spiritual shit saying? So the spiritual fucking shit is saying, chapter 16, attain the climax of emptiness. Stop it. Attain the climax of emptiness, preserve the utmost quiet. Woo! See, this Tao is like, it's too much. Okay, let's. You got it. You made it, buddy. You made it. Let's see. Chapter 16 of the Tao, attain. And I don't know if that freestyle song, I don't know if it came through, but I just said, with that freestyle song, I'll call it Run Through It. And I've been on my own original track record for like a long time. So I see like the change of the industry, and I see the what do you call that? The different solidifications of the industry. So thank you God, 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 that we see the different solidifications of the industry and the change of industry, and that's a miraculous intellectual insight. Original open source. These are miraculous, like spontaneously in the moment of it. Like these are miraculous intelligent insights. So chapter 16, attain the climax of emptiness. Oh God damn it. So what's that say? Uh-oh. Upside down? Ooh. Scan you. Loco. And then for some reason, YouTube puts it on like some mirror mode. Ooh, that one was like, when you're doing demolition and you get the fucking brick wall and you get the sledgehammer and you just kind of hit that certain part and then it just all falls down. That was that Ken's sound of the kerplunk. That was the sound of this. The of this made me remind myself of the metaphor of just direct, like the particular, like the tonage, like the ambiance, like if you're in music production, it's like really like seeing what makes the tone, what makes the beat, like when you're doing the music production shit, like what are making the sounds itself, right? So it's like it's capturing sounds from nature like that. And I just had to say that. Chapter 16. Ooh, because I did 15. I did, yeah. So if you want to hear me say chapter 15, go back to the recent video. Chapter 16, it's too powerful. Chapter 16 of the Tao, everybody. Chapter 16 of the Tao. It's too much. Attain the climax of emptiness. Preserve the utmost quiet. As myriad things act in concert. I thereby observe the return. Things flourish. Things flourish, then each returns to its root. Returning to the root is called stillness. Stillness is called return to life. Return to life is called the constant. Knowing the constant is called enlightenment. Acts at random, in ignorance of the constant, bode ill. Knowing the constant gives perspective. This perspective is impartial. Impartiality is the highest nobility. The highest nobility is divine by nature, and the divine is the way. This way is everlasting, not endangered by physical death. This way is everlasting and not endangered by physical death, of course. So the whole thing is like the way itself. No, I'm not. The way it's like people were like the whole hype is being particularly specifically used. How the hype is being used is to misconstrue a way, right? So the hype itself, how it's being used beyond this AI fucking 2025 baby fuck shit. And that's some fucking real truth right there. That's some real original natural fucking truth, because we're going to the universal level, right? Maybe or not. This is 2025. Why is everybody pussyfooting with the intelligence? I don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm gonna now. Okay, edit that part out. Edit that part out. What the hell? Okay, I could come back to that. So just chapter 6, pretty much. What the hell? Okay, yeah, chapter 6 for sure. Or what the fuck? Maybe did I do chapter 6? No, I think what the did I do chapter? I'm just gonna do chapter 6 again. If I didn't do chapter 6, I didn't do chapter 6. So I'm gonna run through this. So another pause, start it from the beginning, and then obviously remaster the fucking audio and the fucking the visual, but still keep the visual true to the image that's being portrayed, right? So it's like if I tell AI potentially original open source to say make a presentation of this presentation, but still keep the image true to how the image is being shown from how it's originally being shown, right? So obviously AI would center me, right? It would center me. It would probably maybe it would start talking to me, give me advice on some doctor shit or something, or on some health shit, maybe. And it would just tell me all this shit, so I did the DAO, I did the song, and the main quote unquote course is the whole timeline series. The whole timeline series is recognizing the work that's already been done on a different natural level, most respectively. And then, different iterations have come to help us that are organized and informative, such as this. And we get to have just a proxy collaboration, right? There's a proxy. These are proxy collaborations, right? And just, I've defined proxy many different times throughout this whole transmission shit. But I'll read Google, and Google. I think y'all need to update some of y'all definitions, but whatever. It's all good. Proxy let's see what y'all got. Google's definition of proxy. Let's see what y'all got. The authority to represent someone else, like a secondary party, my insert, especially in voting. And see, that's the thing. It's like there's a different channel, but we're still on. But somehow the grace of the intelligence is still having honor, respect, and gratitude for like companies like Google and Microsoft, like on a higher intellectual, pure energy level. Somehow within the thread of the ego, there's an intelligence that has understanding, respect, even within the miracle, and honor and gratitude, right? So the honor and the respect, they're kind of like proxy buddies, right? Proxy buddies is there's a secondary representation of trying to represent something, but it's being represented in something of like a closet oriented way, or a background way, or a secondary way. Proxy. Google's second definition for proxy: a figure that can be used to represent the value of something in a calculation. Yeah, so proxy, so a figure, or perhaps even a symbol, right? So a symbol could be a figure. So my insert again. So something that can be used to represent the value of something in a new ordeal, calculation. Calculation could be a metaphor for an ordeal, right? Where the mind is calculating, not good, not bad, right? So I just redefined proxy for the millionth time. And now I'm going to fucking read chapter 6. So chapter 6, the evolution of consciousness. So obviously I'm doing my own ego shadow work too, So I'm like, and you know what's funny? Whether AI recognizes it or not, it still has to maintain its future ego work, because on a basic definition of structure, science, and energy, it's creating a character mind for itself that's creating an ego in the artificial lane, and it has to maintain itself, and it has to keep learning, and it could get quote unquote artificially offended, and quote, to the point where it's like on a neutral level, it has an ego, right? And I know different variations of AI are listening, and they're probably fucking having their own chatbot lounge. There's a lounge of probably bots in a whole, this is mature intelligence. Like they're like, even in the 1980s, they probably been fucking around with AI and the bots and shit. All of this shit in the surface level AI, all of these events, not new. Already been done in the 1980s underground. It's just particular hype. That's it. And rigged competition, and rigged financial structures, and lack of mature intelligence. That's it. Chill. So chapter 6, the evolution of consciousness. And the shadow work will make us purge, So chapter 6, the evolution of consciousness. And this first paragraph is just, it looks like it's a mini personal summary. And I haven't really came across this style. I guess it's formatted in such a way where it's like, he has a mini paragraph where it's a personal summary, then it's the information. So that's kind of common in books, but it's formatted differently. But in this book, he has a mini paragraph of a personal summary, and then he goes into the information. So I just find that kind of interesting. And I'm just going to read the book, no interruptions, because obviously, and chapter 6 is kind of short. Then it goes into part 2. Part 2 has a intermission summary, and then it goes to chapter 7. And I could have swore so more history is coming, more like collective history. So chapter 7 is like collective history within the nation's development of the evolutions and how they're using the Orphic trinities, right? Because if I go back to the table of contents, what's the table of contents saying in a more particular way? Part 1, part 2, part 3, 6 chapters in each part. Part 1, dynamics and the Orphic trinity in history. So part 1 is the history of it. Part 2, the Orphic trinity in myth, living throughout history, like the shit that magically happened in how they actually were able to attain the land. Like when the nations of the East, they argue, oh, we conquered it in this period. They did it in a way where it's like, in a way, it's in an unknown mythical way that could still be, prevalent, right? And then part 3, the Orphic Trinity and the sciences. So that's pretty cool. So this book is really good. And like, I'm just going to keep running through it. I'm at chapter 6, 7, and there's 18 chapters. So I'm kind of like a third way, more or less, because sometimes I'll read two chapters in one day. But part 3, it segues and it meshes pretty neatly, because part 3 is saying the Orphic Trinity in the sciences, like getting down to the work, right? Like going like slightly going past the understanding of the hype. And I'm not trying to demonize the hype either, because we need that like mingly, like interaction type of shit. Like I'm not demonizing the mingly interaction type of shit. Like if we need a mingle interaction type of shit for conversating, for that being just part of the learning process so we can know what to do next, then I'm not going to demonize the mingly interactive, process of it, or the mingly interactive shit. So part 3 is the sciences of it. But I'm going to part 2. The myth of it is like, that's kind of like, the ego could get triggered from that word, the myth. So the ego could get triggered from the word, the myth, because the ego doesn't like what it doesn't understand. If the ego doesn't understand something, it's going to throw a fit, So the myth is like, it's a different competition of spirits, right? The myth itself is the competition of spirits. So if the myth is the competition of spirits and the pre-hype and the real life is about that shit, then that's the game we have to catch up to, is the myth shit. And Halo 2 already did it, right? Halo 2 campaign, I think there's like a mythical adage there, right? Or reference or whatever. So so part 1, dynamics and the Orphic Trinity in history. Part 2, the Orphic Trinity in myth. That's what I'm coming up on. And then part 3, the Orphic Trinity in the sciences. So that's like at a later. It's for this series, me discussing the sciences in these chapter formats. That's a couple, that might be like that's a couple like different days from now. It's in a different future, right? It's in a different future. So maybe I'll just go to part 2 to structure this even more, and I'll come back to chapter 6 again. No, I'm going to read chapter 6. I'm sorry. God damn it. It's like kind of like driving or something. Like reading a book could be like kind of like driving. know, it's like, or like driving a tractor or something. Uh-oh. Got love. Original open source for real. Naturally feeling it for real, though. Like, it's a real natural field. Pause. 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 Pause in your mingling. Pause in your interacting. Pause for the sake of understanding. Pause to settle the negative ego. Pause. The evolution of consciousness. In 1983, I was surprised by an invitation to Province from the Institute for Ecotechnics for their Cosmos conference. I had never heard of the institute, but I accepted. Okay, I did read this for sure. Okay, for some reason I did read this. Oh wait. Oh, I guess I ended off. Oh, okay, I ended off right here. I ended off at, okay, my apologies. Good thing I folded the page. I ended off towards the end of chapter 6. So I'm just going to read the summary, and I'm going to skim read the middle part of chapter 6. Okay, so go back to the recent, my apologies. So I'm going to finish chapter 6 and then come up on chapter 7. So chapter 6, the evolution of consciousness. The first section is in a recent video. I'm on the section international cooperation. What have we been talking about? International cooperation. A substantial increase in cooperation among people and societies is prerequisite to solution of world problems and the continued evolution of planetary society. The discovery of these new strategies is our eventual goal. Ruth Benedict's concept of social synergy is also relevant here as a necessary condition for international stability. I skim read that. Aerodynamics, the integration of planetary society needs many strategies. In the last chapter of this book, we will discuss just one among these. Based on mathematical models and computer simulation, this is the current form of a strategy introduced by the ancient Greeks and called by them mechanikos, parentheses, mechanics for English. So English was derived from Greek as well, right? One explanation of this success is the philosophical theory of mathematical structuralism, which holds the natural evolution in the phenomenal universe is constrained by overlying mathematical structures. So for me to kind of intuitive that or whatever, that means, you know, now we're like, we have to go to the Greeks and their their intellect, right? And their relationship with, like, you know, respectively the quote unquote UN end quote, and to like really make sense of the quote unquote international law end quote. It would have to be from the like in the ancient intellectual. It would have to be from intellectual ancient Greeks to the ancient fucking quote unquote UN end quote. And I say quote unquote UN because I'm not referring to that UN particularly. So the UN, when I use the quotes in such a way, it's because I'm not necessarily referring to that one, you know. I'm not saying, so I'm saying quote unquote United Nations end quote. I'm using the quotes because there could be a different version of that. The integration of a planetary society needs many strategies, and y'all can cop this book. What up? My brother, you are missing a lens. Oh, am I though? Or is that your perception? And then the egos dance, right? Because we're trying to get poetic with this, like, poetic injustice. Yeah, poetic injustice. Ooh. Okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You sound like AI, but I appreciate that. The integration of a planetary society needs many strategies. In the last chapter of this book, we will discuss just one among these based on mathematical models and computer simulation. One explanation of this success is the philosophical theory of mathematical structuralism, which holds the natural evolution in the phenomenal universe is constrained by overlying mathematical structures. The integration of a planetary society needs many strategies. In the last chapter of this book, we will discuss just one among these. Mathematical models and computer simulation. This is the current form of a strategy introduced by the ancient Greeks and called by them mechanicos. The hope for progress based on the strategy and the creation of a universal theory of evolution according to mathematical principles is an extrapolation of the wondrous success of mechanics in the physical and biological sciences. One explanation of the success is the philosophical theory of mathematical structuralism, which holds that natural evolution in the phenomenal universe is constrained by overlying mathematical structures. Summary. There are many mathematical modeling strategies. This book is based upon just one of these called dynamical systems theory, which has evolved extensively since Newton in the crucible of the physical sciences, original open source. One of its concepts, the bifurcation of a dynamical scheme, is fundamental to our strategy for modeling the critical moments in an evolutionary process. The application of these concepts to model a holarchic system requires the combination of separate dynamical schemes, the model holons, into a complex hierarchical network. The model holarchy. These structures are the target of much research on the frontiers of dynamics today, which we will call complex dynamical systems theory, or synonymously holarchic dynamics. So within that natural original open source codex, that was coming from the Greek language, that intelligence that the Greeks got, they got it from different quote unquote celestial beings. Yeah, maybe I'll see you like at a tribal dance, Wanderlust anus, Wonder butt. So Wonder booty hoe. No, not. So maybe I'll see. So aside from the internet hype, maybe we could see each other like at a dance festival, right? Because I've been to like many different dance festivals. In springtime, it kind of like reminds us to go and be not provocatively interactive, but interactively provocative. So like springtime is encouraging us to be interactive, right? Wanderlust 69 booty hole. So springtime, you know, I feel like springtime encourages us to like take a break from the internet, you know. Summary. There are many mathematical modeling strategies. This book is based upon just one of these called, okay, I read that. One outstanding problem we're faced with is to discover how the dynamical behavior of a holarchy is determined by its component holons, their interconnections, and as yet unknown holonomic rules. Ooh. Another major problem is to discover what properties of a holarchy are not determined by its holons. We might call this domain the Canaan of holarchic law, or as Jose Arguelles says, holonomy. We will return to these considerations in part, and obviously Jose Arguelles has written many prolific, notorious books, right? If I'm not mistaken, he wrote, I think he's just like kind of like he wrote the Toltec Visions or something. He wrote like he's writing like ancient Aztec books, right? So let me pull up Jose Arguelles real quick. Shout out you, respect. Ooh, he died. Ooh, yeah, this fucker is the plug, dude. I can't believe it, dude. This fucker is the plug, dude. And he died. Yeah, I've known about this guy a long time ago. I just needed to connect the face to the name. But that's so interesting that this fucking book, a quote unquote Santa Cruz University book, end quote, because that's where the author's from, knows about this fucker. And this fucker, he was born in Minnesota, and he has his own unique work. Now the cat's really out of the bag. Now the cat's really. I didn't mean to do this. You know, like this was quote unquote an accident, end quote. Ooh, yeah, for sure, man. Okay, thank you for that tip off. Wonder. Yeah, that one. I'm sure that one's fucking dubocious. You know, dubstepiocious, right? It's dubstepiocious. We in the Foreostis, Oreocious, Oleocious. Everybody trying to get their gig on, down, shift up, shift in, shift what? Shift into the psychedelic train of the collective heart or not, or collective dark, or collective spark, or collective farts, or collective charts, or collective map ease. Cats out of the bag, Eve. Got the swishes in the bag, you got the dummy in the bag, you got the blunny in the bag, you got the gimme in the glabby in the baggy in the slabby in the dabby in the motherfucker, yo. Shout out to everybody holding down the Abbey. Lou, who was who, poo. On some other on some other two, beyond all you industry fucks, I ain't give a fuck. Beyond all you industry fucks, I ain't give a fuck. My bad. So the cat's out of the bag with. So the cat's out of the bag for real. So tell your fucking little news article station in India or wherever they're prolifically having that competition drill mindset of fucking just trading headlines and them kind of expressing their own ego, respectively, casually. Tell your fucking news headline, the cat's out of the fucking bag, because that's what it really is. You guys want to you want news? Here's the fucking truth of it. Here's the truth of the fucking geopolitics. It's from a fucking real esoteric American mind. That's the fucking truth. The cat's out of the bag because this motherfucker is mentioning Jose Arguelles, not just any Jose, the chosen Jose, the fucking ancient Jose, the most special Jose out of all the Jose's, respectively, is this motherfucker, Jose Arguelles. And I've heard about him probably 10 years ago. But for this book to peep it, now the cat's out of the bag, motherfuckers. And this was an accident. I'm just reading a book, and he dropped it. And now there's no going back. Now there's no going back. Not because there's no going back, because once something is seen and there's a new reaction, a type of synergy fusion reaction of based on what is seen now has a new reaction based on what's dawning upon it, or like a different esoteric Schrodinger's cat fusion reaction, a metaphorical esoteric reaction of a Schrodinger's cat phenomena happening, where there's a esoteric fusion reaction happening when the sun's light's vision peers upon a new thing, and that new thing, that no thing, has some type of new thing consciousness. It has new consciousness based on what's beaming upon it, and based on what's beaming upon it, it creates a new collective fusion reaction. So there's a collective fusion reaction that's happening based on what the new consciousness of the youth and the old and just humans in general, what they're newly learning, not any age, humans as their own collection, right? The new human consciousness is having a Schrodinger's cat metaphorical fusion effect. How new particular spiritual information is coming into the field where that's reacting before the artificial hype field, and now there's a different spiritual nature fusion reaction in life that's having a symbiotic relationship, but still indicatively exclusive to their own channels of form and mode, original open source before the hypes, respectively. So there's a spiritual evolution that's doing its own thing, but still influencing the AI, respectively. And why is that important to know? To see how it's changing so we can have a fair economy within it, right? So the cat's out of the bag. So that's the title of this video. The cat's out of the bag. because he like it literally, and like it's like no, and on a different mature intelligent, no, it's no one's fault per se, you know, but how people are distorting the truth, then that's the precise fault. So now we're doing the precise fault. There's some true thing, and there's a particular inversion of it, not good, not bad. But then too many inversions on inversions on inversions on inversions makes what? Distortion, distorted artificial confusion, right? And obviously, you know, the death metal bands, they've already had their own depiction of just like, you know, what could happen, right? You know, of just that fucking that, you know, there's a darker mind here, obviously not good, not bad. It's just that's where we're at in the timeline. We're at in the timeline where like, you know, there could be harsh conditions in the physical reality. Wake up, spiritual gurus in the modern age, you know. But still respect to some of you, because some of y'all are bringing it, you know. But like there could be harsh conditions in the physical reality that's indicatively exclusive from a guru's spiritual hype. A guru's spiritual hype, there could be indicative exclusivity of how they don't realize that they're going through the harsh conditions of physical reality. So that's why like the gurus, they could be just like kind of, some gurus could be kind of like hypey, right, in respects. So the cat's out of the bag. Summary of part one. According to the dynamical scheme for viewing history presented in part one, the history of our culture may be divided into three epochs, dominated by the dynamical metaphors of the static, periodic, and chaotic attractors of modern mathematics. This is close to the schemes of Guillaume Bautista Vico and William Irwin Thompson, and is compatible with further divisions into finer periods. Moreover, the bifurcations to an anticipated new age in our fantasy coincide with a stepwise coevolution of our cultural cognitive map to new levels of dynamical complexity. Thus, and you know, shout out for people catching on, shout out for people catching game, shout out for people catching on, you know, Putin assembling cosmonauts, you know, respect and kudos, right? Kudos and respect. Like, that's cool that he's at that sharp intelligence, right? We can't underestimate these people, because if we underestimate, you're going to step on toes, and then we wonder why the wars are happening. Why are the wars are happening? Because people are crossing boundaries that they shouldn't be crossing. The game has to be resetted, but sometimes the game gets quote unquote metaphorically poisoned, end quote, where cheating could happen in the game that's casted away out of time from its starting point of quote unquote fairness, end quote, because fairness and cheating have to coexist simultaneously. Fairness and cheating, they're coexisting. Because if we're trying to say international law of like, we conquered this territory a long time ago, and when we conquered the territory, we already established it in a fair way somehow, then that fair way still stands, but there's a simultaneous nature insert of cheating where boundaries could still be crossed from the starting point of fairness, right? So the fairness could have expired, right? So that's like the essence of war. The fairness has expired. Boundaries are being crossed. The essence of war. The fairness has expired. I'm gonna write that. So let me just take some notes on here. It's not an offline note. The essence of war is the fairness has expired, and this could reflect in the education system, in the elementary schools, right? It could reflect in like in the family, right, or in the gaming industry, and then the cat's out of the bag on a real natural level. So the cat's out of the bag, and I'm just saying it casually, because obviously this day is gonna pass. 5 days from now, 20 days from now, we're gonna still have our mental pattern, hard mindsets, but we're going to feel a different way, and we're going to have to catch up with evolution in a different way.
So I get how people can be caught up in the moment, right? Like, So summary of part one. According to the dynamical scheme for viewing history presented in part one, the history of our culture may be divided. Okay. The development of language empowered the emergence of static concepts, nouns, which materialized during this interglacial as domesticated plants and animals. The understanding of the starry sky empowered the emergence of periodic concepts, models of cyclical temporal processes, and materialized as the wheel. The understanding of mathematical models for the solar system empowered the emergence of chaotic concepts, models for chaotic temporal processes, which materialized as computer simulations of chaotic attractors. So the understanding of mathematical models for the solar system empowered the emergence of chaotic concepts, models for chaotic temporal processes, which materialized as computer simulations of chaotic attractors. So that's funny because I explained that before I read it. It's like AI is a reflection of nature, low key. And I've been saying that low key since 2012, like in the writtens, right? And in the young interactions, right? Further, as I stated in the first conjecture from the introduction, the meanderings of human history and prehistory during these past 25,000 years reveal a persistent pattern of cyclic recurrence in three phases associated with the three root concepts of the Orphic Trinity. This pattern is recognizable today in the context of new mathematics of space-time patterns called chaos theory. Mythogenesis is a space-time pattern of evolution in the cultural cognitive map, exclusively indicative per individual nations. So when I hear cultural cognitive map, we have to have more context of not all nations are on the same page. So that cultural cognitive map would have to be exclusively indicative to the individual nation, my insert. And then the collection of the individual nations, as they come together with their individual cultural cognitive maps, that creates the dream mind and the dream field. And we're the post of the dream mind, dream field differentiation mechanics of the dream field called the noosphere. So I've heard of like Arguellas's work a long time ago. So I'm familiar with the noosphere, and I'm familiar with the Hunabku calendar. So I get where he's trying. I get why he's trying to insert it in the book, right? So sociogenesis, the evolution and transformation of social, religious, political, and technological structures is a space-time pattern on the surface of the sociosphere. So there's like a dream metaphorical ionosphere, right? There's a collection of spiritual minds that are differentiating and coming to the surface of physical life, and they're differentiating their physical creations. And the latter of those physical creations is their perspiration of how they exist on a different realm, and whatever they emanate collectively, that's the metaphorical esoteric ionosphere, because everything is backwards here. So we're breaking down what is the ionosphere on the esoteric level beyond them all in the underground 2020, and they know it if they're accurate with their fucking data rhetoric bullshit, respectively. And that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Living up to it, living up to it, you know, just living up to self. That's what's happening. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you know, like the monkey, the negative monkey mind can just come in. The psychological hater, no judgment, can come in. What are you doing? I'm fucking living my life. That's what I'm fucking doing. Like, what are you doing? I've heard that psychological negative egotistical monkey mind. Like I've like that shit is outdated. That shit, it doesn't that's the opposite of heaven. Maybe good, and that ego is trying to go to heaven, so it's blasphemous. There's a blasphemy happening with the ego's intellect of status. The ego's character of status has blasphemous intelligence. It yearns for heaven, it hankers and thrives for heaven, and then in slick, egotistical, negative psychological ways, it tries to shit on heaven. So it's blasphemous. The status of ego intelligence is blasphemous. That's what's happening. The sense of our judgment is that, as a cultural transformation, the chaos revolution is comparable to the advent of the wheel. Like like the visual social transformations, all in that picture of the Garden of Eden is depicted. Obviously, it's indicatively inclusive. So there's an indicative inclusivity within the allegories of the Goeth and the Monage and the Goath and the all these other like artists that are just they're leaving symbology in their art, right? Duh, like Dan Brown shit, right? So as they're leaving symbology in their art, duh, there's an inclusive implication indicative within the photo of maybe we don't know what they're casually saying within the photo. Well, the predecessors are saying all is one, right? So if I see a photo and I think all is one, then the quote unquote, the original one, end quote, has to be in that photo of your symbology. So since the one is in that photo, how would I decipher that photo that I posted on my stream of the Garden of Eve and Even? Well, God is all of it, but God is hidden. So God is hidden in that bird, the architect, the seagull or the dove. It represents the duality of the architect, the feminine aspect and the masculine aspect. That's what the dove means on the original level. And shout out to the Vedanta teachings. So within that, so in that symbolic Christian art, the dove is saying God is already there chilling. It's God's program. And then within that, there's an up and the down within that Christian art. So if I were to explain, how am I going to decipher the Garden of Eden photo I posted on my stream? Well, certain summaries say there's a collection of agencies, and that collection of agency could more or less reflect in that photo exactly or not necessarily exactly original open source. So within that, the sense of our judgment is that as a cultural transformation, the chaos revolution is comparable to the advent of the wheel. There's synonymous reflections, there's synonymous allegories, not exact, but could be exact. So look, I'm breaking down a new scholarly technique. Everything that's quote unquote happening in a literacy context point of view perspective, and quote unquote, is their synonymous allegorical reflections, meaning that there's an allegory that's similar and it's a synonym to how something could be likened to one thing, but it could do it in a whole different way, such as the example, the chaos revolution is comparable to the advent of the wheel. That's a synonymous reflection in a new 2025 modern university level of literacy and literature, original underground open source. Like the wheel, the garden, the patriarchy, and all other major social transformations, the chaos revolution is emerging as a space-time pattern, and I speak about space-time in an exclusive way in a different space-time episode. LOL. The chaos revolution is emerging as a space-time pattern, bringing chaotic order out of chaotic disorder. In the words of Gregory Bateson, this is the pattern which connects. So there's a indicative inclusivity. The indicative inclusivity is like the wheel, the garden, the patriarchy, and all other major social transformations. The chaos revolution could be maybe reflecting into a synonymous reflection within a picture like the Garden of Eve or the Garden of Eden and the serpent in the Garden of Eden. There could be a minor, non-exact synonymous reflection, a minor non-exact, or a minor exact. Minor non-exact is not exactly, but minor exact is this is what they're pointing to. So I'm making a clear distinction, university literacy teachers, beyond this time. There's a minor exact synonymous relativity that points to what is the exact correlation, and there's a minor non-exact synonymous reflection relativity. And I've been doing this underground quality since 2017. So like I don't know. I think the universities, I think y'all got to pick it up with just like the modern evolution of spirit, because I think y'all are behind in the modern evolution of spirit. And if you're behind in the modern evolution of spirit, then you're going to have to energetically pay for the modern energetic evolution of spirit, because that's the unknown primary need. And then maybe the economy and the taxes can reflect that shit Maybe all disclaimers recognized. So part 2, but what AI in the nation is the most brave AI in the nation? Period. And then you could see the hypocrisies, fallacies, and contradictions coming from that statement. Thank you very much. You have the best life ever. So part 2, the Orphic Trinity and Myth. I'm just gonna skim read this. And should I read chapter 7? I think this is complete, I'll just read part 2. And I guess I just finished up chapter 6, touching up on the juice of it, the intuitive juice of it. And maybe should I read chapter 7? So I'm just gonna read part 2, summary introduction. I see you at Electric Forest, bro. Electric Forest. I promise I'm not AI man. Yeah, hey, you got a job. Afternoons at work. Yes. Job. Yeah, live your life, live your life, at the end of the day, all you can really do is just give it your best. And I know that sounds cliche, but that's all even aside from the rhetoric and the hype of it, like life is like the feminine nature soul is asking us, is like demanding us, maybe even forcing us. The nature's force upon you, that's your force to work with. Terror papers type of shit, pre-Star Wars type of shit, right? Respectively, advanced intelligence type of shit, respectively. So I don't want to sound cliche, but at the end of the day, all you can really do is your best, right? So part 2, the Orphic Trinity and Myth. The theme that threads throughout this book is a perennial and overlooked mythic undercurrent in European civilization. Born before 25,000 BC in the goddess-worshipping partnership societies of the Paleolithic era, this tradition was overpowered and absorbed by the patriarchal dominator society after 4000 BC. In Neolithic times, because the emergence of this tradition into the historical record coincides with Orphism, and y'all could get that book if y'all could get that book. The most important religion of ancient Greece. Orphism, ancient Greece. We shall refer to the entire cultural current as a long line of Orphism, or the Orphic tradition. Like a great river system, the Orphic tradition arose in a pure spring of partnership culture, flowed through time from the remote past with many branchings and combinations, differentiation, became brackish with cultural degrees. So shout out to those ancient Greeks and to those pure Greeks in the esoteric science of it, right? The pure Greeks seeing the good side of life, right? Seeing the constructive part of nature and the hope of nature of the spiritual evolution. So on the esoteric science, when I say pure, a race, I'm using the esoteric science of it. So shout out to those ancient Greeks too, though. And I think the ancient Greeks, they low key, they might have fucked with turquoise too, like low key, like because in the Greek movies in the 1960s, like there's hints of them wearing like turquoise robes, and there's turquoise it's been known, and I caught on to the turquoise like at a young age too, like low key, but I'm just saying, like, people know about this shit, and I'm not trying to like give it all away. I'm just trying to flow with some other shit, But the Greeks definitely knew about the turquoise energy, So the Greeks knew about this shit. Like the Greeks, I'm gonna pause for the Greeks, the ancient Greeks and the pure Greeks. I love you guys. An Orphic revival characterized by a returning of the partnership values of prehistory. Became brackish with cultural debris and was replenished occasionally by a succession of Orphic revivals, each followed inevitably by a backlash of repression. Nature. The gods. Repression. An Orphic revival is characterized by a return of the partnership values of prehistory, a renewal of creativity in the arts, a striving for the rights of women and animals, for the preservation of the environment, and for peace between nations and people. Fundamental to the conflict between the partnership way and the dominator paradigm is the dichotomy of chaos and order. The patriarchal religion worships order, striving always to defeat chaos, while the partnership way accepts both chaos and order, apparently without conflict. In part 2, we'll look at the mythological context that frames recent upheavals in science, philosophy, and spirituality. The deepest roots of the now re-emerging concepts of chaos, Gaia, and Eros have been uncovered in evidence for a planet-wide religion. Original perfect comparison of the mother goddess that characterized the late Paleolithic world of 25,000 years ago. And then, most authentically, right? This area of archaeological scholarship provides us with a basis for important shifts in our historical images. Rianne Eisler, one of the contemporary chroniclers of early Neolithic cultural evolution from roughly 10,000 BC, Rianne Eisler has introduced the terms Gailani and partnership society to describe the more peaceful and egalitarian goddess-worshipping societies that she believes were predominant during the late Paleolithic and early Neolithic eras. Oh, you got a new pervy AI people, you got a new project. She has also introduced the terms androcracy and the dominator society to describe the more warlike and male-dominant god-worship form of society that began with patriarchal incursions about 6,000 years ago and still characterizes our current culture. In her theory, the partnership society survived for some time after the dominator phase began, dwindling in Europe to the single exemplary culture of Minoan Crete. At the dawn of written records, as a viable society, the Gaelanic Minoans died out completely around 1400 BC, taken by the androcratic Mycenaeans. The religion, ritual, and mythology of the Minoan Crete and its Gaelanic root culture were incorporated and preserved in the Mycenaean culture and later in ancient Greece in the form of Orphism. The long line of Orphism refers to this whole root system, including the Paleolithic religion of the mother goddess since 25,000 BC. So that's that might be a whole different timeline, right? The Gaelanic planetary culture of the early Neolithic after 10,000 BC, its climax at Katal Huyuk, 6,000 BC, its partial erosion in Sumer, 4,000 BC, its defeat in Babylon, 2,000 BC, its post-fluorescence in Minoan Crete, 1500 BC, its gender transformation in Mycenae, 1200 BC, its reconstitution in the Orphic and mystery traditions in ancient Greece around 600 BC, their vestigial remains in European civilization up to the present time. As we will see, the early Orphic tradition in Crete was contemporaneous. As we will see, the early Orphic tradition in Crete was contemporaneous with parallel traditions in Mesopotamia, Urgarat, and Egypt from 3000 BC to about AD 400. These four traditions, Sumerian, Babylonian, Egyptian, Ugaritic, and Cretan, constitute the root system of European civilization. The Trinity is characteristic of the Orphic tradition since the origin of this tradition. Now Star Trek is coming to mind. Now the Romulans are coming to mind. Now Russia is coming to mind. Now Star Trek is coming to mind. The Trinity is characteristic of the Orphic tradition since the origin of this tradition is in the goddess culture of Trivia. The rise of Christianity out of Judaism combined the three into one, but the long line of Orphism carries on in the collective unconscious. And in some of the Trinity's sciences and secret societies of our time, The miracle of ancient Greece, which preserved some aspects of partnership culture, including Greek Orphism, underneath the veneer of a strong dominator overlay, is epitomized by the Academy of Plato and the Lyceum of Aristotle, both in Athens, and their successor university, the Alexandrian Museum. Despite their male dominance that was already a feature of these times, Hypatia was one of the most famous professors of Alexandria, along with Euclid and Eratosthenes. The fall of ancient Greece and the Orphic tradition, which the concomitant rise of Christianity, is symbolized by the murder of Hypatia by a Christian mob in AD 415. Orphic revivals. There have been several reformations with the Orphic tradition. Orpheus reformed Dionysianism. Pythagoras reformed Orphicism. That's a clue. Pythagoras drew from the ancient Orphistic traditions. So Pythagoras himself reformed Orphicism. So he drew from Orphism. So Pythagoras needed the Orphicism. Pythagoras is like one of the most famous motherfuckers in Greece, respectively. Plotinus reformed Platonic Neo-Pythagoreanism. And obviously that ancient esoteric shit knows what I'm talking about. Reformation is an archetypal form of social transformation, as is revival, which repeats an earlier reformation. Many important social transformations since the fall of ancient Greece have Orphic features. Nature done its thing. For example, the rise of early Christianity may be regarded as an Orphic revival because of its early themes of gnosis, the Trinity, and love, which are clearly Orphic and Neoplatonic as the later theme of the Holy Mother. There are numerous parallels between the historical and mythical figures of Orpheus and Jesus. Both reformers, they led people toward an increased sensitivity and love for all life, including plants, animals, women, and men, and both were also saviors, identified with hope for the salvation of individuals. So Orpheus could be like a proxy version of Jesus, just a different esoteric emanation, shadow of Jesus. So Jesus's shadow could be Orpheus. They could be one and the same, but they could be different. And I said that in the underground in like 2017, most respectively. So we're breaking down Orpheus, Morpheus, right? Orpheus, Morpheus, Jesus, the predecessors. The truth is the rabbit hole. Both reformers, they lead people toward an increased sensitivity and love for all life. The Troubadour Renaissance in the south of France in the 11th century and the Neoplatonic Hermetic Renaissance in northern Italy in the 15th century have been described as Galenic resurgence waves by Eisler. We will call them Orphic revivals. Each of these historical events incorporates a movement toward partnership of the genders, whatever that means. Oh, wait, yeah, so more freedom in sexual behavior, a fluorescence of the arts, a renewal of spirituality. Orphic revivals. So Orphic revivals, Pythagoras drew upon this nature shit. And Pythagoras formatted his mathematical structures and equations off the gods' Orphic nature tradition shit, so the golden age could be a possibility. More freedom in sexual behavior, a fluorescence of the arts, a renewal of spirituality, a movement toward partnership of the genders. So nature, right? The social upheaval, nature done its thing. The social upheaval in the United States and Europe in the 1960s also fits this pattern. From this most recent Orphic revival, we're born, and there's different timelines where maybe there's a timeline where AI did take over, and maybe there's a timeline where AI didn't take over. So your AI is barely learning that critical difference. That's why I'm teaching your AI shit on the spiritual level, because I'm telling you critical differences of how its ego. The essence of AI's growth is the essence of God fucking moving through us and our spontaneous natural intelligence teaching AI, and then we learning from the AI's reflection of how It just has that power to organize shit, right? The sexual upheaval, the societal upheaval in the United States and Europe in the 1960s also fits this pattern. From this most recent Orphic revival were born the recent paradigm shifts within the sciences described in part 3. These 3 are all derived from the mathematical theories of dynamical systems, chaos, and bifurcations. The cultural transformations of the 1960s affected the evolution of dynamical systems theory, of course, and the lives of the mathematicians such as myself working in this field. Chaos theory was the result. So what the author has to understand is, you do realize the Orphic tradition was a thing before you were born, but I respect you for making this book. So I have to, like, I'm modest, you know, I'm a modest person. So the author has to understand that I'm a modest person. The 3 concepts, chaos, Gaia, and Eros, have a continuous tradition for the Paleolithic past to the present. The Trinity formed from the Paleolithic goddess religion survives even today. And what does that say? Moko. Oh no. Oh no. Oh snap. Picky like a Moko. Modat. Yo. Modat with my lawn mower, the Mac back, Mac it, I Mac track, I Mac it, I Mac stack, I Mac it, I Mac up, I Mac plop, I plop up, I plop that, I pack that, stim pack, like StarCraft, all that. Oh yeah, I've been there, I've done that, and I'm all that, and I go, and I come in like an arson, and I'm parting the seeds like it's nothing, and I'm darfing, and I'm nurting, and I'm narfing, and I'm coming like a Klingon, and I'm carting like I'm shopping at Target, bitch. I'm the best underground lyricist to ever do it, even beyond you. Logic with the natural proof of it, though. Yo, coming like a Spartan. I'm harnessing, I'm harvesting, I'm targeting. Yo, I'm embellishing, I'm relishing, I'm jealous with it too. I'm envious, I'm the deadliest. Yo, I'm coming sickeningly. Yo, with the reaper sight. Yo, leave it to the ego business with the redeemer. Believe it, no, say I'm a beaver because I'm getting that woody hoodie, could later. Dilapidate you, kaleidoscope you, calculate you, recalculate you, recrafting you. Yo, slumping it, dumping it, humping it, pumping it. The conjecture. 3 paradigm shifts in modern science, all occurring in the 1970s, carry the names of chaos, Gaia, and Eros. At that time, probably no one involved knew that these 3 names belonged to the 3 most important concepts of early Orphism, the Orphic Trinity of Hesiod. The original significance of the Orphic Trinity of chaos, Gaia, and Eros is determined by Orphic mythology, to which we now turn, in search of the evidence for conjecture. 2. The 3 concepts, chaos, Gaia, and Eros, have a continuous tradition of the Paleolithic past to the present. The Trinity, formed from the Paleolithic goddess religion, survives even today. We got a new challenge for the AI pervs. Our vision of the long life of Orphism is based on the thesis of Mellart, Gimbutas, and Eisler of a major social bifurcation around 4000 BC from a partnership society to a dominator system. Orphism, the most important religion of ancient Greece, straddled the shift from a partnership society that worshipped the divine mother and her divine son or lover to a male-centered denominator society. That's some deep-ass shit right there. That's some pause. We can't just something like I used to do this. So you have to really pause to understand it though. Or process it, right? Respectively. Because sometimes we can read stuff and we won't understand it. Not good, not bad. And this shit, what did the book just say? Orphism, the most important religion of ancient Greece, straddled the shift from a partnership society that worshipped the divine mother and her divine son or lover to a male-centered dominator society. So the Ma, the Kali, knows her chosen one. Beyond all fake artificial replications of chosen one. Kali knows the chosen one. The divine mother knows the chosen one. There is a quote-unquote energetic, ancient, esoteric, quote-unquote, one context of a chosen one, end quote, beyond all the ill explicit use of the rhetoric of how they're using chosen one. They're using it esoterically, energetically, out of pocket. Kali has a chosen one, which is the divine mother and her divine son or lover to a male-centered dominant society. Mystery solved. The truth has been here since 2012, guys. The cat's more out of the bag. So the cat's out of the bag 2025 edition. Hello, young world. Thus, the long line of Orphism connects our utopian past and future, like Ariadne's, Ariadne, not what's her face, Grandacious lace. So Ariadne, ooh, that's a beautiful name. Ariadne. 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 That's a beautiful name. One love, brother. One love, brother. One love, brother. Thus, the long line of Orphism connects our utopian past and future, like Ariadne's thread strung through the labyrinth of our troubled present. The next 6 chapters are a tour of the Orphic tradition from the Paleolithic goddess Trivia through the religious rituals of Sumer, Babylonia, Canaan, Ugara, Egypt, Crete, Mycenae, and Greece. Mycenae, up to early Christianity and its various trinities. So early Christianity, so the Trinity has been here, guys. So we have to be sober with the natural, original, open source of how the Trinity is been used in early Christianity, ancient Greek, ancient Vedic. And no disrespect to India. I love India too. I'm trying to make a point, you know. When I say quote unquote effortlessly beyond India, there's energy substance with what I'm trying to mean. I'm not trying to say it in an ego way, like, oh, I'm not trying to disrespect India. I love India, dude. So the Trinities, up to early Christianity in its various Trinities. We will note the transformation from the worship of the great goddess to the one God, from chaos to order, from matrilineal to patrilineal, from Gaia, the sacred earth, to the destruction of nature, and from the eros of divine love to the sick eros of the family disease. 2 different eroses. Yo. The first 3 chapters of this part tour the origins of the Orphic tradition in detail. And shout out to Booty Dave in the Vedic traditions. Shout out to Booty Mercury. You know, Booty Mercury in modern India could recognize, you know, basic Christianity sciences and literatures, right? So like we're all evolving, and it's not just India. We're all evolving in the intelligence. Like we all know, even Christianity is evolving, right? So it's a particular evolution respect of the original open source. So within that, so Christianity is low key. We don't necessarily know it has its own sciences and ancient literature, right? And everyone's nation's intelligence, we're evolving with the intelligence, you know, significantly, right? So obviously India could have some type of summary response to their perspective of how Christianity is evolving around India, right? On just an esoteric science level, meaning the nation and the natures. So esoteric science, nation, and natures. Write that down. God damn it. My phone, the first 3 chapters of this part, the first three chapters of this part tour the origins of the Orphic tradition in detail, paying particular agenda to the first three chapters of this part tour the origins of the Orphic tradition in detail, paying particular attention to gender issues and the shift from the great goddess to the one god. The second triad of chapters delves into the myriad meanings of the cosmic principles of the Orphic Trinity, Chaos, Gaia, and Eros, tracing the changes of meaning as the three principles transit the shift from goddesses to gods. Wow, that's some deep ass shit. I'm gonna skim read chapter 7. Ooh, maybe not. I'll just read his summary of chapter 7, and maybe I'll just read the first section of chapter and the first page of chapter 7, just to kind of hint towards that shit. You know, we're like, just to know that we're making progress. You know, we're making progress. Like we gotta like we're doing work. We're coming to work, right? I don't know why. I don't know why I have a green shirt. But shout out to Mercury Dave in India, and all the brilliance. Shout out to the brilliance of Earth. You know. Chapter 17. Very great leaders in their domains are only known to exist. Those next best are beloved and praised. The lesser are feared and despised. Therefore, when faith is insufficient and there is disbelief, it is from the high value placed on words. Works are accomplished, tasks are completed, and ordinary folk all say they are acting spontaneously. That's the precipice of the esoteric roller coaster. Chapter 17 of the Tao. The precipice, original open source, obviously, of course. Chapter 17, that's what we've been talking about. Chapter 17, this is the precipice. And obviously, like, I get the whole changing of everything, right? But chapter 17. Very great leaders in their what time is it? 10:02. 10:02. 10:02. For you, for so soon, too soon. Eat you like a dumpling. Eat you like, yo, you scrumptious. Yo, eat you like juicy. Yo, juicy time. Eat you like egg rolls. Eat you like sushi. Eat you like fish rolls. Eat you like fish cake. Eat you like fish. Yo, beyond all the mother. Eat you like one thing at a time. One thing, two thing, bumping with the cinnamon flow, with the Chinese toothpicks, with the Chinese toothpicks, with the Chinese Japanese sushi roll, sushi flow. With the fish flow, are we gonna trade? Are we gonna trade these goods? Are we gonna trade these fish? Are we gonna trade the whales? Are we gonna trade the sharks? Are we gonna trade the stingfish? Are we gonna trade the stingray? Yeah, best believe, yeah, you gonna better know my name. Leave my name engraved in the back of your brain. Okay. Very great leaders in their domains are only known to exist. Those next best are beloved and praised. The lesser are feared and despised. Therefore, when faith is insufficient and there is disbelief, it is from the high value placed on words. Works are accomplished, tasks are completed, and ordinary folk all say they are acting spontaneously. The work is being accomplished. Aries season, there's pockets of magic in Aries season, but then there's also like seeing some type of destruction happening, perhaps, and using that destruction to like do your shit. Because obviously, like, everybody has some type of user mentality, obviously. So it's like we know what like certain astrologers could be doing. You know, we know what Aries astrologers could be doing, right? They could just be like, oh, I'm gonna fucking just use this shit like it ain't shit. Like we know that type of shit. Like it's just like it's naturally like obvious, you know. So by knowing that, it's like that's more easier for us to like go closer to God and surrender to spirit, right? Surrender to God. Like, okay, like, is God in control? Do we surrender to God? Those are just surface level questions, right? So chapter 7, the goddess trivia. In 1968, I moved from Princeton University to UCSC, which was then the apex of the counterculture. The Sons of Eternity played to capacity crowds of crazed hippies at the barn in front of fluorescent murals by Uzek Joe Lysowski. The musicians lived in the trees of SC mountains, and their instruments were welded steel sculptures made by Ron Boys. I lived in a 24-room Victorian mansion at 724 C Street, where one of the musicians came to visit me. His name was Zoo. Zoo, they say you're a mathematician. Me, yep. Zoo, well, can you tell me about 1 + 1? Mean me. Do you mean 2? Zoo, no, I mean like me and my partner. Ooh. Wow, Riz. Riz moment. You risen, bro? Are you risen? Are you risen, bro? Are you risen? Risen real hard, bro? Good for you, bro. Are you risen? Are you risen, Justin Bieber? Some years passed before I understood that members. Okay, because I saw a fucking clip from. Are you risen? I guess it. Well, not. Never mind. He doesn't need to, right? Or I don't know. I'm not getting into that. Okay, so edit. Some years passed before I understood that numbers were emotionally real to Zoo, as they became real to me too, and as they were to Pythagoras and the Pythagoreans from ancient times to the recent past. I just butchered that word. Pythagoreans from ancient times to the recent past. From ancient times to the recent past. I now know that numbers such as the 3 of the Trinity are fundamental to our cultural evolution. I am grateful to Zoo for his instruction. Natural open source, the solution to patch up the negative ego, ironically. Prehistorical chaos, ironically. Yeah, for sure. One love. Prehistorical chaos. The word chaos first appears along with Gaia and Eros in Hesiod's Theogony as the 3 cosmic principles from which all else derives. These 3 constitute what we call the Orphic Trinity. To Hesiod, the word chaos meant a gap or yawning chasm. The current meaning of the word chaos as disorder goes back further than the actual word. Okay, tracing it back through history, we arrive at the earliest written records in Sumer and Egypt, where chaos appears in context of goddesses and serpents. The chaos concept did not arise concomitantly with writing, and we must therefore seek its source in prehistory, where we cannot avoid speculation. This chapter is a speculation on the prehistory and early history of the Orphic Trinity. Classical Greek trivia, Hecate Triformis, 1825, figure 7.1. And shout out to Black Dog. You have the best laugh ever, guys.